At Xchart, we want to do everything we can to support educational institutions because we really believe that this product can help improve patient outcomes. And we also find that it's an excellent educational tool for students that are just getting started. Instead of staring at a blank piece of paper, we can walk them through a nice process of creating a perfect anesthesia record. So the key thing to understand if you are an educational institution is basically how to configure this so that you can give access to the right people so they can do the right things that they need to do. One of the main things to understand is this idea that there's logins and then there are organizations. So a single login, which I am signed in here as Henrik Jortag, as you see in the upper right hand corner, can be part of multiple organizations. So the best way to think of an organization, so here if I go switch organization here, you'll see these are the three organizations that this particular login is associated with. So the way to think about an organization is that it's essentially a file cabinet of patient files. Anybody who's on the same organization, who's a member of the organization, can see all the case data and patient data for that organization. So as a school, you'll want to create an organization in the system for the school specifically. That will allow you to add and remove students and faculty as necessary. So let's pretend for a second that test org here is the school. By going to the members page here, we can add and remove members. So I can say invite new member, and all we need to do is provide an email address for whoever you want to send an invitation to. Now, this is what you would use to both invite other faculty as well as students. There's a few key pieces of information that it's asking for here. First, of course, the email address to which we're going to send the invitation. It doesn't have to be the same email address that they may already have an account with Xchart for. All we're doing is sending somebody a link that allows them access to this organization. If they don't have an account already, it will ask them to create an account. And if they already do have an account, they can choose to link that account to this organization simply by using that same invitation link. So the email address here is simply the place you want to send the invitation to. Now, the account type can be one of two things. So you're either a provider in the system or you're a member in the system. A provider is somebody who has access to, they can actually be listed as the primary provider on a given case, and they can also sign a case. So most students who are studying to be providers are probably going to get provider accounts, right? A member would be somebody like an assistant or somebody who, basically, you could do this for students as well, but the difference with a member is that they can create new data, but they can't finalize a report, so they can't sign a final report, and they won't be able to set presets for their favorite drugs, etc. So that's the difference between provider and member. Now, the second key piece of information is whether or not this person is an organization administrator. So you can have somebody be a provider and not an administrator. So for example, a student who's studying to be a provider would probably have a provider account, but they would not be an administrator. If someone's an administrator, they have the ability here, as you can see, to add and remove other people, change organizational details, etc. So if you make somebody else an administrator, they can actually remove you as an administrator. So be careful about who you add as an administrator. This should be used for trusted faculty members, etc. Now, if you look over here on the left-hand side, you can kind of get an idea of how this plays out. So if you're a provider, you'll see this section here that says provider settings. And this is where you can set your presets for your kind of favorite drugs that you want to use for your cases. You can add custom drugs, etc. And then if you're an administrator, you'll also see details here about your subscription, the locations where people can practice, and adding, removing members like we showed, and even just editing organizational details like the name of the organization. So only admins see this section, only providers see this section, and if you're a member, you see only this section up here. So what happens when somebody is no longer a member of the organization? Say you have a student who graduates, etc. For that, all you have to do is go over here, and if you view a member, and if they are not yourself, see this is just myself here, you'll have the option to remove them from the organization. When you do that, it won't delete them completely, if they are associated with any case data. So if they're listed as the provider on a certain case, it's not going to just delete that whole case or delete them, because that would mess up, kind of the records we have available, right? So if they're not associated with anything, it will actually delete them completely. But if they are associated or listed as a primary provider on a case, it will only inactivate them. But once you've inactivated that account, that person will not be able to log in and view this organization, and they won't be able to view case data for this organization. So when a new student joins, you send them an invitation. Once they receive that invitation, they'll be able to access all the case data for the entire organization. Once they are no longer a student, or if they leave, you can simply remove them from the organization and it will inactivate their account. At that point, they will no longer have access. Really, that's it. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. You can email support@xchart.com and we will do everything we can to help you.